Hi everyone, hope you all are doing great there. So what next? Must be preparing for the upcoming examinations, that is SBI PO 2021, IBPS PO and IBPS Clerk. So let's get started everyone. A brief intro about myself. Almost mentored for 12 plus years and have qualified several examinations. Yes, targeting but one of the best in India, and that is what I wish to be. So you may have the question that why didn't join this? So I live by choice. So this is what I have been preparing for my other examinations. So these were only a kind of starter which I appeared in my earlier examinations. Now, the same experience that I want to share with you all people, and to get the regular classes on the platform One Academy, if you're looking for the subscription, do apply the code DNA Live. All right. Now let's get started, everyone. As I have spoken, my most of the classes are based on the news editorials, that is Mint and Financial Express. So what I do, generally I cover the extract from the pages of Mint and editorial in the form of articles like RC, close test, manageable, etc. So broadly, some topics are as such which are very relevant from the perspective of examinations, that is English language and communication skills. So the topic which I generally prefer to teach on the part of on the platform of an academy is basically a reading skills, the verbal part, that is verbal ability in reading comprehension based on the analytical skills. So topics that I generally brief students about is that out of 30, wherever you appear, you will find that 20 plus question will directly deal with reading skills. And categorically, the topics are parajumbles, fillers, starter connectors, RC based questions, odd one out, coherent, and inference. These again comes in the area of, or like broadly categorized in the area of analytical skills based on critical thinking. So this paragraph will be based on some sort of on the reasoning topic as well. So these areas will cover all the different facets of reading skills, right from the prelims to the mains. Now, if I can talk about in the weightage of this area in the mains is out of 35, you will generally see that major area that you will find 25 or 30 plus question will directly deal with reading skills. So actually the weightage has increased from the several other pattern. So this is what I generally want to convey, that reading matters a lot, and why I generally say that it is a cut above among all the cut-offs. So if you are good at reading skills, be sure that you will be getting a good score in that particular examinations. So guys, let's get started. The concept of proactive skills, as I have been telling in the previous classes also, that there are sequence of sentences in the paragraph, and we need to connect the sequence of sentence with logical words, and those logical words are what? Logical words are of addition, that is and also besides. The logical words of time are as such, order sequence are as such, space place are as such, examples are as such, results are as such. So what they will create, they will ultimately create context in the sentences once you read any paragraph. So that what we refer to the students, that whenever you read anything now, read that paragraph contextually to get the better hold over that understanding. So again, these words are again contextual words: comparison, contrast, alternative, dispute, intensify, and summarize. And ultimately what they create, structures in the given paragraph. So we generally prefer student and tell them to start restructuring whenever you read any paragraph. So what is all that restructuring? I'll be discussing in detail in the today's RC discussion, how structuring will fetch you good marks. So let's get started, everyone. So always remember, this particular paragraph will will brief you about how all paragraphs are organized into different idea organization patterns. Suppose if the paragraph contains first, second, third, fourth, that would be a part of the list format. And again, if the particular paragraph speaks about any time dimension, that it will be leading to the chronological format. And again, if something is similar to that, and it is a form of example, then that will be a kind of illustration or example. And again, there is a comparison, then comparison formats are there. And again, single cause, multiple cause, these all will be discussed in the given slide. So these classes are running on the platform on Academy, that is at 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. You can also join there to get an advantage over reading skills, that is through contextually. Now, I'll also discuss something relevant concept of an inference also. This particular topic is quite similar to the topic of reasoning that you might have gone through. What is inference? Inference is something like reading between the lines, something which can be implied from the given paragraph. So in banking examination, it always happens that most of the paragraph will be of the nature of the analytical skills. So those analytical skills, generally they ask you the question from the pattern of either assumption, either conclusion, or either inference. So remember that it can be inferred, it cannot be inferred, some sort of like question tags are there. So always remember those patterns. These particular topic are generally falling in the category of analytical skills of reading skills. So I'll brief you these things in the classes as well while we encounter any questions. So what I just want to show you about how to approach a paragraph. So you have to just connect the sequence of sentence by the use of different logical words. As you can see, the structure of cause and effects are as such. That is, they will be indicated by the logic of because, as a result, thus, hence, therefore, consequently, causes, leading to, etc. So always remember these logical words will indicate the context and cause and effect. And similarly, what they will apply, they will give you an idea about which could be the possible meaning of that word and which particular word we supplied at that particular place. So in the given statement, if I could read about, just apply the logic. First, read the entire statement, then go through the given word, which particular word will be applied. So in this case, what the first objective has to be, you just have to read the entire statement, then go for the options. In other terms, what the student generally does and what the particular mistake they commit, they go by eliminating that, they go by elimination method, that one by one they apply the particular word and they feel it, yes, it looks like good, then they opt for it and they don't have the logic. So what generally student does, they have the pattern of elimination method. So avoid that. The best approach could be the method of proactive skills. What we need to understand, first read the main idea, what the sentence is trying to convey, and find the structure involved. If we have structure in the paragraph, just relate the given word by the logic of structure itself. So what do we find here in the particular given statement? Because of Jim Carrey's reputation as a comic actor, suited best for playing hilarious roles, the director was, there is a dash, considering him for the more serious role of the Solomon monk. Now, as you can read, the first part of the sentence is taking the structure and the logical word of because. So what the because denote? Because denote logical words of cause and effect. So this is what logical words of cause and effect. So we can generally see the way the cause lies in the part previous sentence, the same way lies in the effect part. So if I find and if I happen to understand the given sentence, the director was offering some role and that is the role was of serious Solomon monk, then by default he will not be awarded that role because that Jim is having the characteristics of hilarious roles. So the context of because indicates that Jim is a hilarious actor. That's why the director will not offer him the role. So the context of not can be easily guessed by the logic of because in the given sentence. So just find out the negative context word. The right option to the given word would be discouraged from. तो ऐसे पैराग्राफ में अक्सर आपको लॉजिकल वर्ड से ट्रेस करना होता है और जब आप लॉजिकल वर्ड से ट्रेस करते हो तो आप पाते हो कि उस वर्ड के बिल्कुल आप नजदीक हो, आपको वर्ड बार बार लगाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. तो यहाँ पर कॉज एंड इफेक्ट के कंटेक्स्ट के द्वारा डिस्करेज फ्रॉम इजिली एलिमिनेट किया जा सकता है. दिस कुड बी द वन ऑफ द बेस्ट गिवन ऑप्शन एट दैट प्लेस. Encouraged will not be applied there. Irrelevant to, if we are going to compare the roles, अगर हम रोल को कंपेयर कर रहे होते तो irrelevant to लगाते, but we are just we're talking about the director ki whether he would be able to offer that role or not, because the role that he's offering is the serious role, so that is quite opposite to that hilarious role. So it is for that reason he will not be awarding that role in that. Similarly, in the given statement of what we can see, in fact word is there, in other words is there, surely word is there, to be sure word is there. So what they indicate, ये किसी भी sentence के structure में restatement या parallelism को indicate करते हैं. So always remember, everywhere and anywhere, right from the reading comprehension to the closed test or the fill in the blanks or coherence or paragraph, everywhere you have to connect the sequence of sentence by the use of different logical words. Now mind it, it is that place where most of the students go and cram different vocabularies. So we do not go to cramming up those vocabularies and neither going for the kind of having all hefty those things. तो सिंपली अंडरस्टैंड, अगर आप किसी सेंटेंस को रिलेट कर लेते हो लॉजिकल वर्ड के द्वारा तो आपको वर्ड्स को रटने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, क्योंकि यहाँ पर सारा खेल इंग्लिश के समझने का है. तो समझने का खेल आपके लॉजिकल वर्ड से, तो ऑलवेज अप्लाई दैट लॉजिक. Now, the same thing I'll be applying in the given RC. So what I will be dealing today is a date with reading comprehensions. So a brief idea I'm just introducing about on this particular concept ki how to relate. Even there are like RC mein, you will find ki there are words are made bold, and you have to find that particular word according to the context, either similar or opposite word. So the same concept can be equally applied. The concept which I applied, जो मैंने अभी apply किया दिए गए sentence के structure में, बिल्कुल वही concept आप दिए गए paragraph के बीच के bold word के साथ आप attach कर सकते हो. Now look at the paragraph. These words are there also. Like we have reiteration words, similarity or support words. We'll be discussing in the paragraph as well. Contrast words. The same logic can be equally applied by the logic of fill in the blanks or sentence completion, as well as on the topic of closed in the topic of closed test. So let's begin with the like day with the what we are discussing, like a date with the reading comprehension. Here we go. Now there is a paragraph numbering of 5 numbers, right? And we need to answer that through logically. Now let's just focus कि मैं कैसे पढ़ रहा हूँ इसको. Now let's concentrate. Now I'll begin with the first paragraph. A major problem of Indian industrial and commercial development was the supply of capital. Somewhere down the line, in any reading comprehension, the first line is supreme. So indentation has to be followed. First, carefully understand what was the first line trying to say. First line क्या कह रहा था? A major problem of Indian industrial and commercial development was the supply of capital. So somewhere down the line, for the growth of Indian industry and commercial development, we need what? Capital. So this was a problem. So if you are going to read any paragraph, just focus on the first part. The first part will say what it is going to write in the next sequence of sentence. So what the next particular sentence is taken: until 1850, British capital was shy of Indian adventure. No one was interested. The risk and unknown factors were too great, so it was risky. And prospect in other direction too bright. Now there is a word prospect here. Can you relate? Can you relate? This particular word can be easily guessed if you could relate the structure of the sentence. So what the previous sentence was saying, the risk and the unknown factors were too great. So we are talking about what? We are talking about risk and prospect. So what do we find? If the risk has got some sort of like unknown factors were too great, so prospect is what? Some sort of opportunity, some sort of advantage. So prospect in other direction too bright. So if we are having risk in the previous part and the brightness in the other part, then by default this particular meaning of the word can be guessed by the logic of contrast. So by the logic of contrast, we happen to understand the meaning of the word, that is prospect. Something like having a kind of opportunity if you're looking for some good thing out of that. So prospects is generally indicating the logic of some sort of opportunity or advantage. Now looking for the next line, the working capital of the agency house after 1813 at the first consisted mainly of the saving of the company servant. So this is what the lack of capital denotes. Their cries and woo when these houses fell in the crisis of 1831. So again, it indicates the bad condition were loud and pageant. Indian capital was also shy. So what we can get, why we were having a kind of deficit in the capital that was not forwarded to the for the development of industry and commercial activities. It needed to acquire confidence in the new regime. So whenever we like there was a new regime that required a kind of new capital, and outside the presidency town to acquire confidence in the new regime, and outside the presidency town, this sentence has been repeated, so we can avoid this. Investment for the large scale production for enabling works like railways was unfamiliar and suspected practice. So what do we find generally here? What do we find generally here? It was of shy nature. People were not agreed, like they were not agreed कि they would be going for a kind of investment. So they were just thinking कि अगर पैसे invest भी कर दिए तो वो risky हो सकता है. तो what is the possible? अब next structure देखिए, हालांकि ये ऐसे questions अपने RC में नहीं होते. Just to have the better hold over the given paragraph, I have taken the help of this structures in the above paragraph. So what we have seen a problem of what? Capital. For what purpose? For industrial and commercial development. So what the next sequence of sentence indicates? The next sequence of sentence in the paragraph indicates cause or different reasons. Why the capital was not there at that particular time. So what were the different reasons why the people were not, like people were afraid during that time, and even they were having the kind of capital with them, then they were only used for their own purpose. So this is what it indicates, different reasons. So that's why we can say the above paragraph the total paragraph can be summarized in sort of reasons. No doubt it contains different logical words as well, but they are indicating why this was a problem. why this was a problem. Now, moving on to the next paragraph. Now, what do we see here? The particular logical word is applied here. So this is what thus is an effect word. The first big development came when European capital was coaxed. Means it was given a little push, right? It was given a little push. Now, in the previous slide, what we have discovered, it required. So finally, what it got, it got the big help from European capital, and this is how it was propelled into a country, into the country by government guarantees or want of its own free will to develop industries with which it was already familiar, as in the case of jute or coal. So this is what it is giving key how it was being helped. Indian capital followed where it was in touch with European practice, as in Mumbai, and dealing with familiar products like cotton. So in other parts, how the capital was flowing, it is being indicated in the above sentences. These considerations throw into all the greater relief of the achievement of the Tatas in developing iron and steel. This is again an example. Thus, the major part of the capital provided was British, which steadily increasing Indian proportion from 1900 onwards. As late as 1931 to 32, the capital of companies registered abroad was nearly 4 times. So this is what the capital of the British and Britishes are there. And but this is not an exact guide because it leaves out an account of the stock in the British companies held by the Indians as well as by the government stocks. So this is what indicates from where the earlier time the capital was coming. Speaking plainly, it may be said that the capital of the cotton industry was mainly Indian. So what we found from the first and two paragraph, in the previous sentence we got like the capital was from the British side, from the Britain, it is there. The major part of the capital provided was of British. So this is what we can guess here. And it may be said that the capital of the cotton industry was mainly Indian. So this is where the next part we can find. That of the iron and steel industry entirely so. That of the jute industry about half and a half. While the coal and plantation industries were mainly British. So it is showing from where those capitals were coming up. Now, together with this used of building of railways, irrigation, and other public works. Management in the cotton and steel industries was mainly Indian, though European techniques were, so again here mainly Indian. European techniques were freely employed, and that too in the jute and coal and plantation industries being European. The jute men in particular being Scotch. This is what the different compositions are there, from where the capital and from where the techniques were coming up in the earlier days of of Indian development of industry and commerce. Their capital, apart from the course of the government enterprises, operated through the joint stock companies and managing agencies, how they were arranging capitals. The latter arose through the convenience found by bodies of the capitalists seeking to develop some new activities and lacking any Indian experience of operating through local agents. It arose in period of 1813 when private merchants took over the trade formerly monopolized by the company. The money world be found in the Britain to promote tea garden and coal mine, where the money was given targeted. The money was being set into the specific sector. What we find here is the tea garden, coal mine, jute mill, but the management would be confined to a firm already on the spot. So confined is what? It is directed towards particular direction. The managing agency was hyphen connecting capital with experience and local knowledge. So this is how the fund were channelized for the development of industry and commerce. Until 1914, the policy of government continued in the main to be one of the enabling private capital and enterprise to develop the country. Direct promotion was confined to public utilities like canals and railways. The line between enabling and interfering action became distinctly blurred. So once we say if it is being blurred, it means there was a kind of hindrance. But the context of however, in the case of the cotton industry, there was a tendency for enabling action. So if we find the logic of however here, just relate in the previous part, what we found, the logic was that in the previous part, however says the logic of contrast, the line between enabling and interfering of action became distinctly blurred. So it is distinctly blurred in which case? It is distinctly blurred in the previous context, like for the canals and railways. But after, however, in case of the cotton industry, and there was a tendency for the enabling action to pass over to the positive promotion of the particular projects. So if we are thinking about cotton and jute and all those stuff, so there was the particular factor was enabling, that it was giving a boost to the sector, but it was not enabling to the canals and railways. This was most noticeable in the time of Lord Curzon, as it happened with this establishment of the Imperial Department of Agriculture with the research station at Pusa, and Department of Commerce and Industry presided over the sixth member of the Viceroy's Council. The First World War began the transition to a new period, active promotions and positive support. As the conflict lengthened, there arose a demand for Indian manufactured goods. India failed to take full advantage of this opportunity, partly because of the uncertainty as the future of the partly because of the means of sudden expansion were lacking. The outcome of this situation was the appointment of Industrial Commission in 1916. So this is all the kind of lack that it denotes, and it is for that reason Industrial Commission was constituted in 1916 under the pressure from London. The commission criticized the unequal development of an industry which had led to missing of a war opportunity. So this is what all indicates the weakness of Indian counterpart. Now moving ahead, a much deeper, a much closer cooperation with industry was planned through provincial departments of industry. Increased technical training and technical assistance to industry was proposed, while again it giving you the context of contrast. It was suggested that central government should set up a stores department which should aim at making India self-sufficient in its respect. The commission's report was only partially implemented, but a stores department and professional industrial department were created, and something was done towards promoting of technical assistance. The importance of the report and its aftermath was that it marked the transitions from the conception of Indian economy in broadly colonial terms with freedom from private enterprise to conception of India as autonomous economic unit. So this is what the paragraph it thinks about what like how the capital was arranged for the development of industry and commerce. So we can easily grasp the entire idea which all factors contributed to the growth of industry as and commerce in those periods, like right from before 1813 and after 1813, there was a marked change. And again, due to some weaknesses that India was not participated in World War and due to demand raised by the Britishers. But that is not the cause. Let us get back to the question so that we can easily understand. Now, always remember, banking in these days or bank examinations in these days are not asking you any direct questions. They will never ever ask any direct questions. They are always implied. So the first question as it follows, the following can be inferred from the given passage. Industrial development of a country requires supply of external capital. Sorry, supply of external capital. As we can see, it was not there in the paragraph. It was generally by the Indians itself that the capital was there. So this cannot be inferred. Investment in uncertain industries more when the government provides guarantee against the failure. This is what the example has been there. Again, the lack of indigenous technical expertise can be a constraining factor. Yes, exactly. It was. That's why the concept and techniques like different technique were borrowed. Enabling infrastructure like railways would have to be provided necessarily by the government. No, as such, it is not like that. So this was not in the paragraph. So this can be easily negated. Marked development for the initial final product is an important prerequisite for industrial development. Absolutely. So the right option has to be option C. Option C is the right answer. So this cannot be inferred. Again, option D cannot be inferred. The right option is option C. Now get back to the next. The first capitalist investing in an economy were whom? We can easily see in the previous paragraph also I have just underlined like it was basically Indians that they made the investment. The first coex with European, but we find here in the given sentence in the previous slide, as we can see, mainly Indian. And again, we can find in the next paragraph there was of the Britisher context also. So the answer has to be the Indians and the predominantly by the British. So the right answer has to be option D. After the start of the First World War, all of the following could be likely reasons for the British government adopting a proactive stance towards Indian industry. So the right option according to this is the major investors in an industry price over British and they had missed out an opportunity. So this could be, no, all of the following could be likely reasons except, so just mark this word. Yes, this could be the reason. This could be the reason the war had created. It required a lot of raw materials to be exported from the industry. So again, it had a kind of huge demand, the First World War. So this was one of the reasons. The British government wanted economic development of the country, and India was strategic economically in the war. Exactly. This is also there in the paragraph. The development of Indian economy was required for contributing towards the war effort. Exactly, it was the requirement there. The desire to see India as a self-sufficient in technical expertise. It is again not given in the paragraph. So the right answer has to be option E. Now let us focus on the fourth part. During the early 20th century, Indians were restricted to making investment in stocks of the companies that were necessarily listed in India. This was done with the aim of confining Indian capital to India so that it could not compete with British capital. By which one of the following it can be seen? It can be definitely true as if inferred from the passage. No, it is not there in the passage. So we didn't find anywhere stock and companies. So we cannot assume on our own. So this option can be negated. During the early 20th century, Indians were restricted to making investment in stocks of companies and that were necessarily listed in India. So it was not there. So the right answer has to be the right answer has to be no evidence to support the same in the given passage. It can be assumed but cannot be answered from the given paragraph. From the passage, it can be inferred that during the early part of the 20th century, starting a greenfield project was a more difficult for an Indian capitalist than for a European. So what we can see, it can be definitely true as inferred from the passage, or it was true on selective cases by basis. No trend of discrimination between the two categories can be inferred from the given passage. So the right answer has to be, we can see the last paragraph. From the passage, it can be inferred that during the early part of the 20th century, starting a greenfield project was more difficult for Indian capitalists than for an European. So this discrimination was not seen in the next part. So the right answer has to be option C. No trend of discrimination between the two categories of the capitalists can be inferred from the given passage. So we cannot assume. So always remember, we have got different aspects of questions. Like the topic can be assumption. The topic can be inference. The topic can be conclusions. So these all broad categorically falls between the area of critical thinking or analytical thinking. So question these is are not so direct as it used to be in the past examination or past years. So from the latest pattern, we can infer that there are several format apart from a normal RC. In analytical nature of the questions, these questions will remain at its high agenda. So always remember, we have to prepare for our worst situation, not for the best situation, because it is there where students generally commit mistake when they are not able to organize the sequence of sentence. So it was a just glimpse of that paragraph कि कैसे examinations में questions आते हैं. A more updated version will be there, and regularly I'll try to put on board a lot of several paragraphs so that student can be benefited by the verbal part that is coming up with examinations. So that's all for today. See you all in the classes at Unacademy Plus at 4 p.m., 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's all. Thank you.